Welcome to Drinks in the Library, the only library where drinks aren't just allowed, they are required. I'm your librarian host, Gigi Howard, and each episode I'll be interviewing a guest about a much-loved book that we will be pairing with a drink for you to enjoy along with us or consider for your next book club meetup. As always, stay curious and support your local library. Hello, Libration Nation. This week, our book is The Ogress and the Orphans by Kelly Barnhill. It tells the story of the struggling town Stone in the Glen, where fear and misinformation has led the townspeople to blame a kind-hearted ogress for their misfortunes instead of the corrupt mayor who has caused them. When a group of resourceful orphans discovers the truth, they join forces with the ogress to expose deception, restore compassion, and rebuild their fractured community. All right, I am so incredibly excited to bring this to you. This is such a special episode. This was recorded live at the Bon Air Book Festival back in April with the amazing, award-winning Meg Medina. Meg served as the 2023-2024 National Ambassador for Young People's Literature. Her most recent middle grade novel and first fantasy, Graciela in the Abyss, was a 2026 ALSC Notable Children's Book and a CCBC Choices 2026 selection. Meg is a Newbery Award-winning author for her book, Mercy Suarez Changes Gears. She's a Kirkus Prize finalist and is a writer of many incredible books. I love this conversation so much, not only talking about the Ogress and the Orphans, but also Meg's experience promoting books and reading with young people and how important that is, especially right now. I want to say thank you to Meg and her team for collaborating with me and my fellow planners of the Bon Air Book Festival. It was an incredible experience recording this live in front of a studio audience, and it's a great episode. I'm just so excited to share it with you. Our drink this week was a Cuba Libre in honor of Meg's Cuban heritage. And one last thing, if you're loving the show, please like and subscribe wherever you get your podcast. Leave me a review. That's how you help other people find me, and I so appreciate it. All right, let's get to it. So come see.
Oh,
Yes, let me help you.
how fun to see friends in the audience. Oh, James River Writers. Oh, they're always so awesome. Hey.
Yeah, we're so glad to be here. So, as I was just saying, the podcast is a little different because you are an incredible author. You've written amazing stories. We've got some of them here. Real quick, you showed this to me before. Now, we all have seen Graciela in the Abyss, correct? But have you seen the paperback that's coming out in July? So, just a little clip of what's to come. But so I asked people what their favorite book is. And I asked that because I think it's so important to find ourselves in stories and to talk about who you were when you picked up this book and how it changed you. So, Meg Medina, who were you when you read The Ogress and the Orphan?
Okay, well, it's not that old. I think this book is 3 or 4 years old.
Yeah.
So I was post Newbery, and I had the good fortune of having taught with Kelly Barnhill. Kelly Barnhill is a Newbery medalist herself for a book called The Girl Who Drank the Moon. And we were teachers together at Hamlin's. It's a master's program for people who want to write children's literature. Have you ever met Kelly?
I would love to, but I have not yet.
Okay, we should arrange this somehow. So she's so unexpected. And you're talking with her and you think you're going this way and then kapow, you're going that way. Like she's all over the place, but such a mind.
Yes.
Such a mind for writing tales. The kind that you used to sink your teeth into when you were little, And I am not much of a person who reached for myths and legends and things like that. But, Kelly wrote it and I said, oh, let me try it. And within the first, I think, 2 pages, I was completely drawn into this story. And the more I read it, the more I think it's a story for now.
Mhm.
And I don't know, it just endures. There's so much wisdom and humor and silliness in these pages. So
Yes,
all the things I love.
yeah, I have to tell you, I love like the narrator. The narrator is one of those ones that is like got a little bit of a chip on their shoulder, but like in a fun way, you know?
Yes, yes. And you don't know who the narrator is
Yes.
until the end.
Yeah.
And you're like, who is this who's talking to me? And you keep wondering. And yeah, very pithy, very sharp sort of personality.
Yes. And I wanted, so let's talk about this story.
Okay.
Who is the ogress? Who are the orphans?
Okay. So here it is. The town is called Stone and Glen. And the town used to be lovely, a beautiful town where everyone helped each other. There was kindness on the street, joy. And then there was a great fire. The library burned down. That was the first building. Mysteriously, it burned down. And then other buildings started to burn down. And now Stone and Glen is this miserable, charred, mean-spirited place where everyone is sort of suspicious of everyone else and has nasty things to say. And no one wants to go the extra mile for anybody else. Okay. In this town live 15 orphans, and they live with Myron and I can't think of the woman's
Matron.
Matron
Yes.
and Myron. Older people. Myron has mysterious burn marks. And so he knows something about this town in its former iteration. But they care for these orphans as well as they can. And mysteriously, someone is leaving helpful things for this orphanage and really for everybody. Pies, clothes, soups, all kinds of things. What they don't know is that it's an ogress who is living on the outside of town. And, who likes an ogre, right? Not most people. They're big. They're kind of clumsy. At birth, she was the size of a giant tortoise. There are problems, right? There are problems with an ogress. And she's scary, except that she is all heart. And the people or the beings who know her enormous heart is this flock of crows who are so full of themselves, you want to smack their beaks. They think they're all that. I know how to use tools. I'm great. I'm smart. They're all the things. And this little group of sheep also know how wonderful she is. The problem is that Ogress only speaks crow so-so. And the crows don't speak any ogress. So like when they have to communicate important things, it gets hard. And then it's the story of all of these things sort of crashing together. And the town, is under the spell, so to speak, of a leader, a mayor. He's so shiny. Oh, so shiny. He's so shiny that when people look at him, they become in a trance. Like they forget logic. They forget anything bad that's ever happened because they so love this mayor. But he's got a past, this mayor. So, it's such a complicated story, and she weaves it in so beautifully. And you're laughing at the crows, and you're laughing at the ogress not being able to speak crow, and the sheep, and the arguments that happen between the orphans, because of course one is a philosopher and one is a logics person, and one knows how to break in and out of things, like all of these different skills. But in Kelly's brilliant hands, like she tells us this tale that keeps you on the edge of your seat and also forces you to go inside yourself and ask yourself, like, what does it mean to be good? What does it mean to love your neighbors? What does it mean to be in a community? And those are important conversations for kids to have. And she can have them with them while she's making them laugh at these crows, right?
Absolutely.
And in this book, they're just really funny because they know they're so fascinating. So they fly around, all fluffed up saying, I'm so fascinated, Yeah.
Okay, there's a lot of characters to pick from.
Yeah.
Who is your number one favorite? Or is there a moment in the story that a character really connected with you?
Yeah. Is it Bartleby?
Yes, the philosopher.
Yeah,
Yes.
he's the brother. He's one of the orphans who is the philosopher. And so he's always asking complicated questions, and he wants to think all the way down into all the different possibilities and so on. I really liked him. And he was such a good counterbalance to his older sister, who was all logic.
Yes.
Right. And so together, they're always she's always answering him like, yes, Bobby. And, the way she writes it, Kelly, you can hear the sarcasm dripping, out of the sister's voice. And then there's also I think it's Elijah, who remembers all the stories. Like he listens to this orphanage that they live in. The wood seems to speak. It seems to have stories. And he is keeping track of all the stories that this house is telling him. So, each one of them, each of the orphans brings his or her talent to the table to really solve this mystery that the adults in their shiny, stupor cannot even see.
Yes.
The children are the ones who figure what big surprise, right? The children figure it out first. As usual.
As usual, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if someone hasn't read this book before, the vibe, what kind of world are we living in?
Oh my goodness, the vibe. I don't know. It just to me, it feels both. It feels like you're stepping into a legend.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of modern language. Like sometimes when I read myths and legends, you feel the moral very heavily. There's a very set sort of pattern to them. But this marries like contemporary voice, like kids' voices and just human behavior to the myth and legend. So I don't know. It's fantasy, but not sci-fi. It's like a mythical sort of place.
Kind of world too. And I wanted to talk about the dragon just a little bit. The dragons in this book are complicated creatures. Do you want to tell the story of how they started finding empathy a little bit?
Yes. Well, the dragons are complicated, but so are the ogresses and ogres, because the creatures that you think you should be afraid of and hate, right, have these complicated backgrounds and often are very nice. So, for example, the ogres and ogresses had their village burned down mysteriously. And the dragons at one time have learned how to cloak themselves in other items to hide themselves. They, of course, love shiny things as well. They can burn things down. And there is this one dragon who has been particularly awful and just loves the idea of torching everything. It just fills him, discord fills him with glee. It's what feels right. And so he moves through the world in that way. Yeah. There's always dragons among us.
There are always dragons. So I wanted to ask you, the genre of this. Now, this is a good question because you write a lot of books for children. Do you read a lot of books in this genre?
I read a lot of children's books. I read mostly children's books, and every once in a while, I'll read an adult book to cleanse the palate, just to remind myself that I am an adult. So right now I'm reading Tayari Jones.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, which is wonderful. So I'm enjoying that.
Okay.
And I do that. I am not someone who usually reads fantasy, but I will tell you this. I will read literally anything if it's good. So it really doesn't matter if it's a great example, if it's a great book in that genre, I'm in. Yeah. So I find myself reading all kinds of things that I wouldn't normally, like sci-fi or things that I'm not normally drawn to. if it's done well, I give everything a chance. Do you
Okay.
do that at all?
I am a 30%. If I can make it to 30%,
Yeah.
then that's when I make my choice.
Oh.
Now, of course, like honestly, but then if it's like a 700-page book, then 30% is pretty
It's a lot.
So that's numbers negotiable, I guess.
That has been happening in children's work right now. We see a shortening of children. Like this one, based on when it was written, you can see it's pretty hefty,
Yeah.
right? But we're finding that books are getting shorter.
Okay.
With the exception, of course, of graphic novels, which have, they look gigantic because of all
Yes.
the art. But industry-wide, we're seeing
Okay.
a lot of that. Some of it has to do with, post-COVID and like
Yeah.
all of the changes that happened in learning and attention and how kids come to story,
Mhm.
all kinds of things like that.
Yeah.
I don't know how that's all going to pan out in
To
the end,
shake
but we do
out.
see that now.
Yeah.
Shorter.
Yeah. Are publishers pushing for shorter books, you think?
It's exactly pushing. It's just the conversation
Okay.
that is going on right now among authors about, there's a real interest in books that have a lot of white space, for example, like novels in verse and so on,
Oh.
to help kids who maybe don't feel successful in reading or would feel really intimidated if you
Yeah.
gave them a book this size.
Yeah.
And said, don't worry, there's 15 orphans, a dragon, an ogress, an evil mayor, don't worry, you'll be just fine. And they're backpedaling.
Yeah.
So really the question is making sure that you have enough different kinds of books for kids to be able to find their way back into story.
Right.
Once a kid is a reader,
Mhm.
they'll tackle virtually anything. But, when there are obstacles to it, whether reading is hard or fatiguing or attention or whatever,
Yeah.
sometimes it makes sense, I think, to just find shortcuts,
Yeah.
to help kids back in. I did a lot of talk about this when I was ambassador,
Okay.
because part of the job of being the ambassador is you're the nation's book friend, so to speak, with kids. So I traveled the country and I met kids all over the country. And my platform was Cuéntame, let's talk books. So we would do this exact thing,
Okay.
me at their school or in their community with 3 cuentistas, storytellers. And they were basically book talking to me, books that they recommended that I should read.
Fun.
And why they thought I would like it and so on. And then I would book talk to them.
Okay.
And then we'd have 10 minutes where we talked about our reading lives.
Okay.
And they would say the most amazing things about where reading fell apart for them, or what they wished adults knew about their reading lives, or what they wish adults would not do
Yeah.
to them around reading, all kinds of things.
Okay.
And it was really interesting to stay open to what they had to say and not censor it, right?
Yeah.
Let them tell you where they are in
Right.
their reading life. So that was one interesting thing that came out of it. The other interesting thing was what I gained or what I learned about reading and families. So I did office hours at the Library of Congress. It was a lovely gig. I had a beautiful office in the building, and every other month I invited families could come and visit me at the Library of Congress, and we'd, talk books for 30 minutes. It was so fun. I had every kind of family. I had the family, like the parents marched their kids to show me how shiny their children were. I had kids who, we know this. We had, the kids dragged there against their will. I had all kinds of things. But I had this one family
Mhm.
that will always stay in my memory. So it was a dad named Branch. His son was named Twig. Twig was 5. And then 2 daughters. I know, I already told him those are coming with me into a book. And then 2 daughters, one who was 12 and one who was 9 maybe, and the mom, who was a teacher. And they come in and they start talking, and they're talking suddenly like they were talking among each other. Like Branch had this big comic book collection from when he was young in those little plastic binders, a whole thing. And his daughter is now a graphic novel fan, and she keeps the books that she really likes for her younger sister, and Twig likes this, and Dogman, and on and on and on. And they were so close, this family. They were so interconnected, and they were talking with so much mutual respect for one another. And I left really understanding and seeing right before my eyes, like, we are so often looking for ways to knit our families together. Some of us do it like we do go to the soccer game, we go to the family outings, we do all the things, but a reading life in a family is also a way to knit a family together. They're talking about story, they're talking about things that matter to them. They're able to say, what did you think of that chapter in blah, blah, blah? And it doesn't have to be a 30-minute conversation. It could be a 2-minute conversation that illuminates an important moment for a family.
Yeah.
So, I tried to bottle that and share that a lot with families. That was a big lesson for me after I finished my ambassadorship.
Yeah, it's so important. And I'm also like curious, like talking to some of these kids who you're trying not to censor, right?
Yeah.
Like, what are do you have any conversations that you had with them that really stood out?
Yeah. They said things like, sometimes reading's boring. The books are boring. They said things like, my mom doesn't like me to read graphic novels. She doesn't think they're real books. Fatigue was a lot. Being forced to read things they didn't want to read, like not having choice about what they want to read, what they can read.
Right. Yeah.
And I think we need to honor kids' choices, what they want, especially like now in summertime we're getting ready for summertime. Sorry, I got ahead of myself because it's so warm. But, that notion, just letting kids, being confident that they're going to choose the book that's right for them and that they're going to put down a book that isn't right for them.
Right.
I trust them both ways.
Yeah. I always say when parents come into the library and they're like, well, they need to read a real book.
Yeah. What does that mean?
I kind of like look at the kid and I give them a wink. Like, it's going to be okay. Yeah. But what does that mean? Right. And then like, are you taking away the joy of finding yourself in story?
Yeah. A reading life and book joy are really important.
Yeah.
I just did a PSA yesterday. I was recording a bunch of videos. You know how this goes, right?
Yeah.
And it was for Paramus Public Library, their summer reading program. And that's the one thing I said to kids. I hope that you read exactly what you feel like reading this summer.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Yeah. Maybe it is People magazine.
I love People magazine.
I don't care what it is. I think we need to allow them to discover what it is they like to read.
Yeah.
And respect the fact that some kids will prefer math, right? Or will prefer another subject. Cool.
Yeah.
That's all good, right? But giving them the chance to have agency, I think, over what they do.
I love that. Thank you. What a cool experience to share with us today. I wanted to ask just real quick, because this is my favorite question I ask about the Ogress and the Orphans. I like to ask, who would you recommend this story for? Who's the ideal? I mean, I read it. I
Did you love it?
I loved it. Like 7 stars out of 5. It was incredible.
Yeah.
Yes. So
It just stays with you forever.
It does.
Stays with you forever. I reread it in preparation of our conversation, and I loved it just as much the second time. I laughed just as hard the second time. I think kids who have a sense of humor will like this book.
Yeah.
I think kids who care about like friend things, like how are we friends to each other?
Yeah.
How are we good to each other or not? Like what pushes us in either one of those things, I think kids will find interesting. And I think, honestly, just kids who aren't put off immediately by this, right? The size right now could be challenging. So if I were introducing it to kids, I might do like, we're going to read a chapter today. Or, right, we're just going to read a couple of chapters and then you tell me, or this group, you read that chapter and let it, what in this, and, find creative ways to sort of get kids engaged with a longer work. I think gone are the days many years ago, of course, during the Harry Potter craze and so on, we'd see kids lined up outside the bookstore and like there was a pride, right? And the fatter, it's not the pages, like they wanted to tell you this so much, That's not so much now. That's not so much now. So we adapt, right? We
Yeah.
adapt. We
Yeah.
find other ways to help them find book joy. That's really the thing that you want. You want to give young people a chance to feel that thing that happens when you're reading a book and it says exactly this thing that has been on your heart or in your mind.
Yes.
And that's true for adults, for young people, whatever. There's something that you find in that page, you mark it, you put a thing, and you're like, oh my gosh, that's right. Did that person know me? Like that kind of moment.
Yeah.
That is what makes a book like very dear
Right.
to a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you have a favorite book as a kid?
Oh my gosh, yes.
What
I
was it?
will. I'm a Judy Blume girl.
Oh yeah, you were. Which one?
Okay, this is I might like if you know me in this room, you know I like cry so easily. So like I'll try to hold myself together.
Okay.
So my first favorite story was starring Sally J. Friedman as herself.
Oh.
And has anyone else read that one? It's not like
Now I'm going to.
It's not, it's like B-list Judy Blume, but it's incredible. And I read it with my daughter a few years ago and it holds up. And it's the most autobiographical book she's ever written.
Oh.
But that was the book that I read that anybody that knows me knows this happens all the time. But anyway, I remember sitting in the library next to the window reading that story. And so it changed my life. And here we are.
But it's true. But
Yeah.
that's what reading joy really means in someone's life when they can see that. I was a big Judy Blume fan too.
Yeah.
Mine was, of course, Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. I'm a
also,
Margaret.
yeah.
And that seething dissatisfaction she had with her mom
Yes.
over the packaged cakes, making packaged cakes. I have never made anything but a packaged cake. So it's, kind of interesting to just remember how daring she was. But my favorite was Charlotte's Web.
Oh, yeah.
And I have the same type of memory of reading it in third grade in Mrs. Zuckerman's class. It was after lunch. I know her name was Mrs. Zuckerman, my third grade teacher. And we had sustained silent reading after lunch. Remember that? That was like my favorite, right? You'd come in all smelly from outside running around, and then you had this quiet. And we had those faux light wood desks and with that green interior. And the light was coming in the window. And I got to the part where I was almost at the end, and Charlotte is leaving her eggs to Wilbur.
Oh.
Right.
Yes.
Right. And
start crying again.
I suddenly really felt it. Like, this is it for Charlotte and friendship. Like this massive, you trust this friend with this most precious thing.
Yeah.
And, I never forgot that day. I never forgot that day. And I don't know. I think that's the magic of book joy and what I wish so ardently for every kid, that they can find at least one moment when it's like that for them. Yeah. Yeah.
It's incredible. Yeah. So that I 100% agree. That moment is, that will be like the moment I die, I'll probably be thinking about that. So
yeah. I'm going to read that book now.
Yes. Anybody, if you haven't read it, it's very good. Like I said, it's the most autobiographical book she's ever written. Okay. So it's based on her childhood, her brother getting sick, and they moved to Florida. So anyway, it's very good. There's the teaser for that book. So.
Okay.
I wanted to take just a couple minutes just to talk about your latest, Graciela in the Abyss. So if you haven't read this already, it is amazing. Do you want us to tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, this book is also about community, interestingly. Yeah. Oh boy, was this a journey. I started writing this book in 2010. Oh, yes. I mean, people, I wrote it, I unwrote it, I wrote it from her point of view. It takes place in the abyss, in the deep part of the sea where there is no light. Everyone in this novel is dead. They are a ghost. I kill the main character in the first 2 pages. What could possibly go wrong? So I was writing this book during COVID. I came back to this book during COVID. And during COVID, I had a few years earlier than that, I had lost my mom to cancer. My mom had been living with me And when my mom died, I did not have time to grieve because my mom lived with me and with her sister, my tia Isa. And if you know my work, I have a picture book, Tia Isa Wants a Car. So my aunt was living with me and I had to care for my aunt, right? There was no time to grieve my. And so if you fast forward to 2020, COVID happens. By that time, my aunt had degraded to the place where she lived in a nursing facility a few blocks from our home so that I could continue to see her every day. So we had her longtime caretaker, Maria, would go in the morning, get her dressed, have breakfast, all of those things, stay till noon. And then in the afternoon, I would go, or Javier, or whatever, in the evening to see the Isa. So COVID happened, and you remember how that was. And she was at that nursing home where there were all those deaths early on. It was Canterbury at the time. And it was devastating. It was just devastating in every way to feel so powerless in that moment. And then the following, and watching the rancor of that was going on in the nation, how angry everybody was getting with everybody else, and suspicions and accusations, and just that, which I feel is still festering now. So I came back to I have a file in my computer called the graveyard. And that's where I put works that have quote unquote failed, right? That things that my editor foolishly asked me to take out of my work, or just manuscripts that did not go well, right? And there was Jorge and the Sea Ghost, or Graciela, waiting there. So I took it out. And now I had the idea for the story of two girls, Graciela, who has died in a very silly accident, a fall from a cliff, just being bratty. And she's filled with all these regrets. And in your afterlife, in the abyss, all sea spirits have a job. Some of them move the tides. Some of them are in charge of shipwreck, supervision. Other people put sound inside shells. Her job is to be a glazier, to take what the world has thrown away, trash, bits of broken everything, and to gnaw it and gnaw it and gnaw it until it is something beautiful again. I think writing is that too. Mm-hmm. Writing is this process of gnawing at the things that mattered and trying to make sense of them in a new way. And so this book ends up being an adventure story because she's minding her own business being a glazier. On land is a boy named Jorge, who is a blacksmith. Unbeknownst to him, his family has fashioned the only harpoon in the world capable of killing a sea spirit forever. And I won't tell you how or why, but they have to form an alliance and work together to get this harpoon back from a sea spirit who absolutely should not have this harpoon. So it was it's dark.
Yeah.
It's dark. When I think of it, I think it's a good book for kids 11, 12, 13, 14, because, characters do die. There's violence, all of that stuff. But it's mostly a contemplation on what we owe each other as people and the sacrifices we're willing to make for each other.
Right.
So it's a ghost story. And I've never written a fantasy or a ghost story. But, that's the other beautiful thing about writing, right? You get to reinvent yourself all the time. So some days I'll say, I'm going to write a picture book. Other times I'm going to write a chapter, early chapter book series. But this, I had to go into the abyss. Symbolically, I had to really revisit all those really hard feelings of loss and regret and blame, and really think about kids and what we owe a community. So my hope is that it's a book that you could read on your own, you could scare yourself, all of those things, and then you can have those really deeper conversations, with
your family.
With your family, with your teacher, with your librarian, with your friend, things that sound like, what would you do?
Right.
Should she have done this?
Right.
What should she have done after she did that terrible thing?
Yeah.
Because those are real things in a kid's life. They make terrible mistakes. And so what do they do afterward?
Mm-hmm. I think we always want to protect children, right?
Yeah,
and
sure.
assume that they don't know. But bad things happen to children as well. People die around them. They experience tragedy.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that's brings.
Oh,
us
they're
back.
experiencing this whole thing, right? They're watching all of it.
Yes.
And it is shaping them one way or another. So, yeah, they're not immune. They're not immune.
Yeah. This has been an incredible conversation. I also wanted to point out, and because we haven't talked about the drink.
Oh, yeah. Oh, this is the whole point. It's called Drinks in the Library.
Yes. So Meg and I are drinking, I'm going to not pronounce it, Cuba Libre. Is that
Cuba Libre.
Cuba Libre?
Everyone's aspiration.
Yeah. And we also included a mocktail, which was Ogress lemonade made with dragon fruit.
Oh.
So that also goes back to the Ogress and the dragon. So y'all are just going to have to read the book.
You are. And I'm going to be checking your eyes for extra shine in case one of you is a dragon. Well, how fun. I mean, you had me at drinks in the... I said, yes, I'll do it.
Thank you so much. Thanks.
Oh, my goodness.
That was so fun.
Thank you for spending some time with me and my guests for an episode of Drinks in the Library. For more information about the show, you can find us on Instagram at Drinks in the Library, on the World Wide Web, drinksinthelibrary.com, or shoot me an email at drinkspod@gmail.com. Until next time, cheers.